So this video is going to wrap up my little contemporary mid-tier summer sale haul, hopefully, knock on wood. I don't have any more bags that I'm waiting for to arrive in the mail or that I'm actively eyeing, so I am hoping I got it all out of my system. Now, if you missed my MZ Wallace and Coach unboxings, I have for sure fallen down the rabbit hole of experimenting with contemporary designer brands for textures and finishes that I personally can't justify paying high-end designer money for. And while I typically do prefer high-end bags for various reasons, I think I've made the right decision here to experiment at a much lower price point. We're talking easily a tenth of the price on the low end to play around with textures and finishes that I don't have in my collection and don't even know for sure if they will work out for me long term. But today's unboxings are slightly on the higher price. These bags are over $100 each, but still, when designer bags are averaging $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, I feel good about these. So today we have two bags to reveal from Marc Jacobs, which is shockingly a brand new to me brand. Yeah, I have never in my life owned a Marc Jacobs bag. Isn't that crazy? I know Marc Jacobs is part of the typical handbag journey, like it's part of the beginner's starter pack, if you will. But I managed to skip past the likes of Marc Jacobs, Tory Burch, Michael Kors, and Kate Spade all together. I only ever did Coach before I bought either my first Gucci or Louis Vuitton bag. I don't remember which came first, but I never looked back since. However, with the way the industry is today, I am not against taking a couple of steps backwards. And it's not that I'm being snobby. I can't think of a single Marc Jacobs bag that has resonated with me in the past. Well, the only exception I can think of is I did at one point consider getting the iconic Marc Jacobs tote bag, but I knew deep down that I wasn't a fan of the giant lettering, so I went for the Longchamp Le Foulon top handle bag instead, which is very similar, but a little bit more low-key, right? And yeah, I have zero regrets. But from the size of these bags, no, we are not unboxing a tote bag today. Instead, we have two similar styles that are currently scratching my itch for a limited edition Fendi baguette. So if that's any clue. So hang tight and let's get into the unboxing. Welcome back to a Briefcase of Luxury, where we love to chat about all things related to life, learning, and luxury. While I have no intentions of quitting my day job as a business professor, I would love to continue to grow this channel. So thank you for being here today. I bought both bags online, sight unseen yet again. And also both bags, honestly, are ones that I wouldn't have paid full price for, especially sight unseen. Now, both bags did come with dust bags, which is nice. This first one is one I've mentioned before briefly in a shopping vlog last year. I talked about being drawn to the star-studded dual bag when I saw it in the window, but not enough to actually go in the store to take a closer look. So ta-da! Today we have the Marc Jacobs star-studded dual bag, but this one is in the chain version. Now these originally retail for around $350, I believe. And again, at that price, I didn't give it a second thought. It wasn't until this was marked down to under $200 that I started to pay attention and to track it more intentionally just to see how low would the price go. And when it finally hit $130, ish on Saks, I think, I pulled the trigger. Let's go ahead and do a quick 360 of the bag. All right. The only place where it says Marc Jacobs on the outside is right down here, and the letters are a kind of metallic foil. And here's what the bottom looks like. No feet, no studs. And by the way, this measures 8 inches long, 4 inches tall, and a little under 3 inches wide. Now the pull-through chain, like that, has a drop length of 12 inches, or you can wear it crossbody by pulling one of it all the way through. Now in front, we do have a turn lock closure. And once you open her up, we do have 6 card slots in the front, I believe, and an interior zip pocket. Now, while the outside is made of genuine leather, the inside is a polyurethane lining. In case you want to see how my essentials fit in here, we have just my usual. We have my phone, my Louis Vuitton key clay, a chapstick, my car keys, and a hand sani. All of that fits in here beautifully with a little room to spare if you want extra lipsticks, lip glosses, whatnot. Now, I love me all things celestial, but at the same time, on handbags, star designs can look kiddie or gaudy at times, and to me, 99% of the star designs that I've seen from Marc Jacobs falls into that category, but this is the exception. Like, this is so elegantly done. I love the falling stars effect that we have going on here, and I love the fact that we have all these studs in different sizes and just the really organic placement of all of these studs. Now, one thing to note, and I don't think this is a quality issue as much as a design issue, because some of these studs are so small, you are going to get some dimpling or pulling on the smooth leather. And I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, because on the bright side, these studs look like they are pretty embedded into the leather, but then you do get this dimpling effect because it's so embedded. And the leather is smooth, so there's no graining to hide the pulling. And also in terms of the leather, it's studded all over enough that you can't really get a good feel for it. But from the bits that I can feel, like up here, it is a very nice, soft, smooth leather. Now, this does come with silver hardware, and I think it gives the bag a very nice, youthful vibe. I think it would have also been cool to have had mixed hardware as well, like just sprinkle in some gold stars, but overall, I love it, and I do appreciate that the studs are just metal studs. Like, for a long time, I've had to talk myself out of the star-studded Fendi Peekaboo because I watched enough reviews to know that there's crystal stars with their little metal prongs that are holding the crystal in place. They will snag on loose fabric. Thank goodness I don't think that's going to be an issue here with the way these studs are designed. Like, even these smallest ones are just rounded studs that are completely embedded into the leather. And by the way, since this is very wallet on chain like, especially with all of the inner card slots, let's just do a quick size comparison, shall we, to my actual Chanel wallet on chain. So as you can tell, I think this is just slightly bit longer, maybe slightly wider, but very similar. I would say this is probably a little bit more flexible compared to the caviar leather. I'll also do mod shots for how these look worn as shoulder bags and as crossbody bags. So while that first bag was one that I have mentioned before but never paid attention to until the price was right, this next one came out of nowhere. So truly this was an impulse sale purchase to scratch my recent itch for a limited edition Fendi baguette. I've talked about my beef with the baguette, and the situation really hasn't changed. I still want a Fendi baguette. I still want a limited edition Fendi baguette, but the issue is there are just too many limited edition variations available at any given point of time that's just information and decision overload for my brain. And the vintage ones aren't necessarily cheap either, so I don't want to make the wrong decision. In other words, I guess I just haven't found the perfect Fendi baguette yet that I've 100% fallen in love with. So when I saw this, I just knew I was going to be able to partly scratch that itch along with my itch for a crystal and denim bag. So we're talking about killing 2, 3, 4 birds with one stone. Now, if you are familiar with Marc Jacobs, then you may already know what bag this is. So may I present to you the Marc Jacobs crystal denim clover shoulder bag. Oh, isn't this precious? Now, this originally retails for $250, but it's currently on sale at a number of different department stores. I think Marc Jacobs has it currently marked down to $175. By the way, I think I can also partly blame this purchase on a very similar bag that Coach currently also has on sale, and that's the Pen shoulder bag in the crystal navy version. But I already bought one shoulder bag from Coach recently, and I didn't want to buy another, especially since, like, I like shoulder bags, I do, but I'm still a crossbody girl at heart. So knowing that this comes with different strap options, so you can wear it either as a shoulder or a crossbody bag or even a wristlet, I would much rather have that versatility. Once again, here's what the bag looks like from the front. So keep in mind, this bag is blinged out front, left, right, center, all over. So it's probably a good thing that they did send some extra sparkles right? Now, actually, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Like, on the off chance if a crystal or two falls out, then you're good to go. But at the same time, does it mean I should expect crystals to be falling out? We'll get to this more in a minute. But in terms of the sides, it's the same length as the dual bag at 8 inches long, but it is an inch taller at 5 inches and an inch shallower at 2 inches. So here you can see what they look like side by side. It looks bigger, but we'll get to that here in a second because there's a lot more material going on here than compared to the leather bag, surprisingly. Now this one doesn't have a turn lock closure, it has a magnetic one instead. And on the inside, we don't have any card slots. I'm gonna go ahead and take out all of the straps first. So as you can see, there are no card slots in here, no pockets whatsoever. And since this is denim, this entire thing is basically made of cotton inside and out. Cotton and rhinestones, of course. And I will say the dual bag is a lot softer and more malleable just by nature of the leather and it having fewer studs than this. This is pretty structured for a fabric bag, and it's not the lightest either. I mean, they're both heavy for being mini bags, clearly. What else could you expect? But let's move on to the actual strap situation. So like I mentioned, it comes with 2 straps. We have a shorter shoulder strap that can also be doubled up as a wristlet. And we also have a chain crossbody strap with a little bit of a leather break on the top. Now, these straps are obviously in black, which is interesting. I wonder if it would have been more cohesive if they had made this out of denim. But either ways, I do appreciate that these aren't just chain straps because I do find these straps more comfortable than a solid chain strap, especially if you're wearing it for longer periods of time. I do like having a leather break on my chain straps. And since these are completely removable, obviously you can just put whatever strap you want on this. And just keep in mind though that the silver is more of a brushed, almost gunmetal type color. So it's a lot darker than the shiny chain on the dual chain bag. Again, I'll quickly show you how my essentials fit in here now that we're dealing with an inch less of depth, but an inch more in height. And that actually made a huge difference because now, in addition to all of my stuff that I had in my dual bag, I can also fit a full sunglass case in here. That inch of space made a huge difference up top, especially if you have longer items. Now, one other thing to note about this bag, it's not a huge deal, but you do have to be careful when you are setting her down if you want her to stay upright because she does have the tendency to lean. If you look at the bottom, there is this reinforcement strip that runs all the way along the bottom and up the sides. And so we basically have 3 pairs of crystals, right? And because the center pair comes out just a little bit, it's either going to tip forward or backwards. Now, I haven't had the issue of her toppling all the way over yet. She can stand pretty well on her own when I've had the straps and dust bag tucked away inside. But then again, I've yet to use this out in the wild to see how well she can actually stand with my daily essentials in here where the weight distribution may not be as even. Also, because she is made of a darker denim, I am curious if I'm going to see any issues with color transfer. Not necessarily from color transferring to the bag, but the other way around, especially if I'm wearing like a lighter outfit like today. Or will the crystals provide enough protection to stop that from happening? Let me know if you have any experience with this bag. And by the way, if you are a Marc Jacobs fan, let me know how you are getting along with your bags. Do they last long? Have you ran into any issues? I'm a complete noob when it comes to their bags, so I'm excited to finally test them out. But once again, I know I went for finishes that may not be the best for daily wear, so these may not be a good indicator of their general quality. But like I mentioned before, I'm just not comfortable paying for a Prada crystal bag or a Chanel denim flap. And like I said, vintage Fendi baguettes can still be expensive, especially the limited edition ones. So once again, this is all a matter of price and value for me. And at under, $200 each for these bags, That's worth it for me to get my feet wet, to see if these are even textures and finishes I'm willing to explore further in the future, maybe at the designer level. But even then, there's that fear of, well, what if the Prada crystal bag fares worse than this, right? And yet I would have paid 10 to 20 times more. So with these two bags, we now have studs, we have denim and crystal, all taken care of. At this point, I think I've done pretty good, and I'm running out of textures and finishes to play around with. Oh, wait, no, there's one that's still sorely missing from my collection, and that's something raffia. I'm thinking Longchamp potentially, maybe Tory Burch if I want to stick to the contemporary scene and try yet another popular brand that I've never owned, and maybe Strathberry. But yeah, raffia is definitely one of those other materials that I don't want to pay designer money for, but it's still something that's missing from my collection. So please keep your suggestions coming down below. I hope you enjoyed these extra videos that I've been posting lately. I just wanted to get these out in case you are shopping the summer sales. I'll be back down to my regular one video a week from here on out, unless something else comes up like my TBD raffia bag. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me on my little contemporary brand summer detour, and thank you for sticking around until the end of the video. And if you enjoyed your time here, as always, then please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I can't wait to see you next time.